girl.
Hey everybody, I'm Sharon Richards. I'm the Activities Director at Bethany Home here in Brandon. I wanted to talk today about approach and programming and how we can all learn some tips and tools to make our shifts easier and really enjoy our jobs. I love my job here. I get really excited every time, and I love working with people in memory care. I've been working with people in memory care for the past 3 to 4 years. I'm a recreation therapist, and what that means is I have worked with people of all ages and abilities, and I make things possible and accessible to them, things that they've enjoyed doing their entire life so that they can continue to do that. Never thought I would work with an older adult population, especially memory care. Honestly, in college I said that I wouldn't be strong enough. I didn't think I could handle it. Until I was a recreation therapist in Colorado at an inpatient behavioral psych hospital, and they opened a geriatric psych unit about 2 months after I started. Pretty nervous about it, and it ended up every time I would go back there, I got more and more excited to plan the activities that I would do with them. One example I want to give you to how I realized this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life and get really passionate about it was, again, really early on in my career, but I wanted to do a sensory activity, and all I had was a small bottle of essential oils, probably from Walmart, no idea what kind it was, and a bag of unpopped microwave popcorn. So there was a gentleman who had come in. He had very progressed dementia and Alzheimer's. He had what in the psych facility we called a flat affect. So he didn't respond to much stimuli at all. He didn't talk, and he had no reaction in his eyes. And I was pretty determined to try to get something. So I held up the essential oil bottle to his nose, and nothing at all. Then I held up the bag of unpopped popcorn and I ruffled it a little bit in front of his nose, and all of a sudden his eyes popped open, there was life to his face. He grabbed the bag of popcorn from me, he slammed it on the table and said, "I love popcorn. I don't even need the directions on this. I used to make it every day." And I went, "Oh my God." Like, "Oh, did you watch movies with anybody?" And then he was gone again. And it was that moment that I realized I can bring out these moments of joy in people without really even knowing anything about them. But here at Bethany and in long-term care or assisted living, we have this amazing opportunity where we not only get to know them, but we get to know their families and get more history about them. And that's so extremely important to know families' names, children's names, vacations that they've gone on, what they've done in their life, so that we can make every single conversation that we have with them about their memories, because they have those memories just like you and I, but it's our responsibility to bring it out for them. So, a few things I want to talk about. Our approach. So, I have a lot of fun with this. Sometimes I get crude just when they are too, and that's my style. But if there's somebody who's on their 9th bowl of ice cream, they don't think they've had a single one yet, and they're saying that they want a bowl of ice cream, you need to know that you are wrong from here on out. You're wrong. Say, "Okay, I'll get you some ice cream." You can take a little bit of time and answer the question again later, but they can get that bowl of ice cream. It's okay. Nobody with dementia has ever died overweight. You can give them some ice cream. And I'm not trying to disregard any health stances here, but if they do have diabetes and their sugars are high or something, say, "Yes, I can get you ice cream, and I can get it in just a few minutes." Let them ask again. It's okay. What do we know about people in their brains when they have dementia? It deteriorates. So, most often it's the frontal lobe that is deteriorating, and the frontal lobe controls our impulse control and our rationalization. So one of my favorite things about this is that these little Christian ladies who never swore a day in their life, their families never thought that their mother even knew a single swear word, are suddenly calling you an F and B. And you're like, what? Well, it's okay. They were thinking it the whole time. time. But now they don't have a filter, and they're saying it right to you, and maybe you want to listen. But I don't know. If I'm coming at them too strong and they call me something, I step back and I walk away and I come back a little calmer. It's that approach that we need to take seriously. We need to listen to it, and we need to be their friend. We need to be their accomplice sometimes. So I want you to do something for me real quick. I want you to picture somebody that you know really well, whether it's your husband, your wife, your cousin, your friend, your boyfriend. Picture where they are right now. Okay? Where they are right now, does it look, feel, or smell like home? I'm picturing my husband. He's at his office, and no, doesn't look, feel, or smell like home. Okay, so where you are right now, look around you. Does it look, feel, or smell like home? No. So if I just ask Tyler, can you lock the doors real quick? We're good to go for the night. Go ahead and lock up, and we're going to stay here. How does that make you feel?
Trapped.
Trapped? What do you want to do?
I want to go home.
You want to go home? Honey, this is your home. You live at Bethany. And I'm going to do your makeup, and we're going to go play bingo. Okay? What does she want to do to me? She wants to smack me. Like, I'm crazy, and she's got to get the hell out of here. Okay, we can't talk to people like that. Like I said, you are wrong from here on out, and you got to go with it. Something I want you to know is if they want to go home, you got to let them think that they're going to go home. But you also have to give them a little bit of reason to stay with you for just a little bit longer. And sometimes it's the church ladies brought some food, and they cooked us dinner. And you don't want to be rude to the church ladies because they cook good, and everybody knows it. So that's just something you can try to do. If they really want to get out of there and they want to call 911, I'm going to call 911. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. And then you come back and you say, I called 911. Let's get out of here. What's our plan? And then you're their accomplice. You're their friend. You're getting them out of there. Get out of there. Go for a walk for a second. It's okay. They're not going to run away. It's okay. But I do want to provide you with a little tip to get them back. You're walking, and all of a sudden, oh my God, my feet hurt. I really need to sit down. Please sit with me. And then you sit down. They're going to be a caregiver. They're going to care about you. They've invested some time in you now. They'll sit down with you and then start talking about your dog. Start showing them pictures. Pull out your phone. I know you're not supposed to have it on you, but if you do, pull out a picture of your dog. Show some videos on YouTube. And then it brings them full circle. They're not focused on getting out. They're with somebody that brought them comfort, and you can get them back. This takes a lot of practice, though. Like I said, I've been doing this for a while, but I have a lot of fun with it. I don't take it too seriously. We need to know what people have done in their past life. So, for example, there's a woman right now on Maple Valley on Memory Care on Bethany Home, and for the most part, all I know about her is that she has been a caregiver her entire life. She took care of her partner, and all I know about it is that her name is Euless. So she's back there walking on the floor. I feel the vibe. She's swearing at all the nurses. And I go over there and I walk around the corner and I just go, oh, my stomach hurts. My stomach hurts so bad. Can I sit next to you? And she's like, oh, honey, what's wrong? She's suddenly not swearing at anybody. And then I can say, oh, I haven't seen you since Ulysses' house. We had such good times. She was such a good friend. So are you. And then it takes maybe 10 minutes to get her out of that cycle. And it's worth it. It's your shift. It's 8, 10, 12-hour shifts. It's worth it for those little moments of joy, I promise. I also want to talk about the men in our facility. There's not as many men that we see who are afflicted by dementia or Alzheimer's, but we do have them here. And this is a career or place dominated by women, and we can use our flirtation to get them to do whatever we want. For the most part, and I think that I think we should hone that. I think it's okay. It makes them feel good, makes them feel wanted. Tell them how strong they are. Give them a box that has nothing in it to carry. There's a gentleman on Cotton, and every time I need to get him to walk for me for restorative, I come up to him and I say, "Hey, handsome, how are you today? You look good. Do you think you could go for a walk with me?" And I'll rub his back a little bit, and he's ready. He's like, "Okay, I'll go for a walk with you." So we're walking, and then sure enough, I get him back to his room in his recliner, feet up, and lo and behold, he's asking for a kiss. And ladies, you need this in your toolbox. You need to be able to know what to say so that you're not just so awkward and like uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable, but you have to know how to get out of it. And what I do is I point to my ring, and ladies, if you're not married, say your boyfriend gets jealous. Or I say, my husband really wouldn't appreciate that. He'd get pretty mad at me. And he goes, "Oh, we don't have to tell anyone." And then I say, "I can't keep my mouth shut, and I can't keep a secret. So I better not." And he says, "Okay, have a good day." And it's just fun. It's harmless banter. But I do want to say sometimes, back to that frontal lobe and not being able to have that impulse control, sometimes men don't take it a little too far. And ladies, if they do, I want you to find another man in the building, and I want you to tell them what's going on, and I want you to come into that room, have the man come in there and say, "We don't treat our ladies like that. I don't appreciate that." Because this is a generation we're working with where women didn't really have authority. They're not going to really understand where we're coming from. They need another man to come in there and say, "Knock it off." And that we have access to that. There are men in this building who I'm sure would be more than willing to help you out there. Just don't be afraid to ask. Let's see, where am I at now? Yeah, so have some fun with it. And I wanted to share with you the most applicable thing I've ever found to my approach with dementia care is improv. And it's kind of like theatrical, and we know that people with dementia are not working chronologically. More often than not, they are regressing, but they are on chapter 5 to 7 to 1 to 9, and we're just playing catch up. We got to go along with it. So Tina Fey has 4 rules of improv, and they match perfectly with how we need to approach these people. The first rule of improv is agree. Always agree and say yes. I want you to take no out of your vocabulary right now. This rule for Tina Fey, she says, is about openness and the willingness to engage with new ideas and new practices. As Fey explains it, when you're improvising, this means you're required to agree with whatever your partner has created. So if we're improvising and I say, "Freeze, I have a gun!" and you say, "That's not a gun, it's your finger. You're pointing your finger at me." Our improvised scene has ground to a halt. She says the blue screen of death moment in any meeting is when you hear someone say, "We can't do that," or "We tried it before and it didn't work." That moment sucks away at your enthusiasm for the project, and if it happens enough, it drains your will to work. The second rule of improv, I'm going to take some water real quick. The second rule of improv is not only to say yes, but yes and. If your reply to "Freeze, I have a gun" is "Yes, you have a gun," that doesn't do much to advance the scene. Yes and for Tina Fey means not being afraid to contribute. In fact, seeing contributing as your responsibility. I'm going to take it back a little to one of our favorites who just passed away, and she loved her buttermilk, which we talked about a little bit earlier. She would get in fights with everybody. She wanted her buttermilk and she wanted it now, and if you didn't have it, you stole it from her. You were lying. So something that did work with her is if you went up to her and said, I'm so sorry, I have some bad news. I don't see any buttermilk in the fridge, but I'm going to make sure I get you some right now. And then she'll ask again, it's okay, but use that. She understands that. Saying no tells her she's wrong and you're right. You're going to have conflict. The next rule is make statements. This is a positive way of saying don't ask questions all the time. If we're in a scene and I say, "Who are you? Where are we? What are we doing here? What's in that box?" I'm putting pressure on you to come up with all of the answers. In other words, whatever the problem, be part of the solution. Don't just sit around raising questions and pointing obstacles. We've all worked with that person. That person is a dread. Tina Fey said it, not me. Did you know that people with dementia often don't hear or understand the fourth word in every sentence that you say? So when we go into 2 to 3 sentences, they're looking like, what? And sometimes, yes, it doesn't matter what you say, it's how you say it. You can say it in the sweetest tone ever and they'll want to smile at you, but they still don't understand. There are no mistakes, number 4. There are no mistakes, only opportunities. This is my favorite one here, guys. We get to celebrate so many failures in this disease process when working with them. Dementia is the only disease where we get to fail every 5 minutes. Something doesn't work, we turn around, we come back, we mess up our hair, and we do something else. It's okay. You've got 8 hours to try to make it better, or longer. If I start a scene as what I clearly think, she said, if I start a scene as what I think is very clearly a cop riding a bicycle, but you think I'm a hamster in a hamster wheel, guess what? Now I'm a hamster in a hamster wheel, and I'm not going to stop everything to explain that it was really supposed to be a bike. So perfect for dementia. I think every time I have a little chit-chat session with them, none of it makes sense. I don't even know what I'm saying, but we're just bantering. For example, we put headphones on one woman, and she comes into my office and she goes, "Does your doctor know you're here?" And I said, "Yes," and he said, "I really better watch my back." And she started laughing, and then she goes, "See you at the ranch." And I'm like, "Oh, we're going to the ranch now. Okay, and we went with it. But have so much fun, guys. That's really the only message I want to send here is don't take it too seriously. And throughout your shift, stop and ask yourself, is this hurting anyone? Is that 9th bowl of ice cream really going to hurt anybody? Is that day 5 of the same outfit, is it hurting anyone? And on that note, I understand that with that, it's mostly the family members that have the hardest time understanding this. And it's really education, education, education. If we find things that work with the residents, write it down. Tell everybody and make sure you tell the families because families are stuck. They don't know how to visit anymore. It's too hard. But if they have some tools to help them visit, they'll keep coming back. So I want to end this by just telling all of you, I have worked in multiple states. I've worked in many different places, and we have gems here. Like, this is the best job I have ever had, and it's because of all of you. And I hope you know that I think our residents are the absolute best. And they're calling you angels daily. And if they're not saying it to your face, they're saying it every Tuesday in care conferences through the families. So I hope you know that. Thank you for all that you do. Do you guys have any questions?